So, as an athlete, I've always been told that in order to perform well or to, do my best or to have like a good game tomorrow, that I need to carb load. I need to have, like pasta and I need to have this sugar and I should have this thing before the game and I should do this before my workouts and this before my run and I should have, all of these like pre workout carbohydrates, intra workout carbohydrates, post workout carbohydrates. You need to have carbs, 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 if you want to be an athlete. And I tried that for a while. I really did. And I never benefited from it. Never. I used to eat a lot of pasta before, games or before just big exercise events like track meets. I used to have a lot of pasta. I would do honey, pre-game and sometimes like pre-workout and whatnot. Just kind of like guzzling it down like a weird like drug, like a weird like sugar fiend, dude. Just like absolutely downing a crap ton of honey that probably wasn't that good for me, to be honest. Eating candy before games and track races. So I would always have, I think it was like a Snickers bar or something like that, or like a Kit Kat or whatever, before going ahead and running my race or playing a soccer game. But like I said, it never really helped. I never noticed a benefit or a like a increase in my performance or like me getting faster or whatever. I never really noticed anything good coming from that. If anything, it made things worse, to be completely honest. I remember sometimes I would get this like weird brain fog going into the race or going into the game and just wondering like what the heck, what's going on? I should have more. I should have more honey, but it never helped. It never solved the problem. If anything, it made me worse or it made the problem worse. So yeah, that's been my experience anyways with like the carb loading and the like having carbs before cardio or just in general. That's that's been my experience with it and that's why I don't do it for the most part anymore. And that's why I'm making this video really. It's just to explain to you why I don't carb load before cardio and basically like a lesson to my younger self that he doesn't need carbs to be a good athlete, like, and just sharing my life experience with you to maybe encourage you to experiment with something different that might help. But if you don't know me, my name is Keegan and I make videos on diet and fitness and just generally just like lessons to my younger self. So if you want to go subscribe, then I'd really appreciate that. Anyways, as I've gotten older as an athlete and I kind of stopped doing that weird carb loading BS, I learned about this diet called a ketogenic carnivore diet. It's more important that it's just like a keto diet. And so I don't have any carbs at all in general. And I found that it's actually benefited me a lot to not only not carb load, to not have any of the weird any of the weird like was it like the rituals that some people have before um events of eating like gels or eating like pasta the night before. I don't have any of that weird garbage ritual. I just eat meat basically and eggs. And I found that I don't have the same downsides that I experienced whenever I did do, the big like carb loads or just eating carbs before cardio, that sort of thing. I found that I don't have those problems anymore. And I just want to talk about those to begin with is just the problems that I face because you might relate to this is I tended to overeat a lot. So like eating the pasta the night before, there wasn't really a limit on it. It was just kind of like keep going, just have a ton, like shovel it in basically. And I would always get some sort of like digestive problems from pasta. And at a certain point, I just kind of got used to it and just feeling like this weird, like bloated, distended gut, just like, just like feeling really not great. Just feeling gastric distress for a while. And just all of that really came from one, overeating, and then two, just what it's made out of, like gluten and carbs and freaking grains. So it wouldn't digest that well. I would get bloated, watery. It just wasn't that great. And yeah, but the biggest thing I think that I faced whenever I was eating carbs in general was just the overeating aspect of those things. So, like I said, with the pasta, generally overate that too much. Whenever I had fruit, I would eat too much of that to where I like get sick because I'd have this like weird drug like compulsion to have more. And I never really liked that about carbohydrates. Like, yeah, like sure they're tasty, right? Like I'll give them that. Like pasta tastes good, especially if you have some like sauces with it. You can make it like super ultra tasty. But even on its own, it's still pretty good. And fruit. I mean, that's sugar. It's like crack, dude. Like, um, I want like pineapple was I think the biggest thing that I overate really easily, just because just sugary and just yeah, lots of overeating. I kind of talked about that digestive issues, just carbs in general. I never really digested that well. Even even like fruits and that sort of thing. Like it never really just sat that well in my stomach. I think the easiest thing that I probably digested was honey, but that's literally just like syrup. It's like just sugar, bro. It's just like there's nothing else with it, bro. It's just sugar. um, and I think the other thing that made carb loading not make any sense to me whatsoever was how my energy just went all over the place. So you know how I was talking about like the pre-workout drinks or the post-workout and the pre-workout meals and all that stuff, like intra post, all that stuff. I would do that and my energy would still be all over the place. Like I wouldn't have a good training session even if I did like the pre-workout meal. And obviously there's probably some like execution error in that. There probably is, but just in general, if my energy is like up and down and it's all over the place, like I never really liked that about my life, and I just thought that was how everything, like I thought that's just how it was supposed to be until I stopped and I just stopped having those problems. Like I stopped eating carbs and I stopped having those problems. My digestive issues, decreased significantly. I don't really like unless I eat like a huge meal and I drink water with it, so where it's like it's slowing down the digestion. I don't really have like distended gut or like feeling really full and like ugh. But even if I do that, it goes away really quickly compared to 2 hours of just suffering that I used to go through. I don't get bloated anymore. Um, and I don't overeat anymore. Like it is incredibly hard for me to overeat now. Incredibly difficult. It was super easy back then, but now it's just like I can't overeat and gain weight basically. Like I'd have to do a lot that would be very sucky in order to do that. And I'm very grateful that I've found this diet now because I don't deal with those downsides anymore. And that's why I'm sharing this with you again. It's just because like I've found those benefits. I've removed those downsides from my life. I've removed those constraints from my life. And now I still perform exactly the same, if not better than I used to. And I lay that at the feet of mostly just because I've removed those constraints. Like there's probably gonna be some people who like yell at me and be like, "Oh no, but you need carbs to be an athlete. You need carbs for performance." Like, I don't care, dude. Like, my life is so much better now that I've removed carbohydrates entirely. That life is good. I just I see no reason to put them back in. I'm performing exactly the same. I'm doing if if not, I'm doing better. Like I PR'd in a event recently. Like I don't think you like I just hope you're understanding this. The benefits for me have significantly outweighed the so-called benefits that people say like you need to eat carbs for. Like they're like I'm just struggling to phrase it correctly, but I think you get what I mean there. It's like people say you'll experience this and that benefit if you have carbs, like your performance will go up, you'll have energy, this thing and that thing. My energy has been better. My performance has been the same, if not better. You know, I think athletically, what it comes down to is like your recovery and how much you can train. I found that on no carbs, not even, like no carbs in general, no carb loading, no nothing, none of that. My energy has been better. My ability to recover has been better, if not like it's the same, if not better, essentially. And since I've removed those other things, I think I'm actually performing better because I've removed those constraints like overeating, the digestive issues, the whack energy, that sort of thing, right? So that's why I don't carb load before cardio. And that's why I would recommend to other people to try a low carb or even like a zero carb diet to see how it goes. And to, just don't carb load. I just don't think it's necessary. To see how you do without it. Because growing up, I never questioned that line of thinking oh, you need to carb load before this event. Like make sure you eat a lot of pasta, make sure you have, some fruit with you. Like it just I never questioned that narrative. And now that I do and I feel better because of it, like I want to share that skepticism and I want you to experiment for yourself, right? Just to see how it goes. If you don't like it, you can always change back. That's the way I see it, at least. Like what you eat in a day, it's just it's one day that you can experiment with. And if you find that you like it and you want to try some more, like okay, cool. Right? That's what I found. That's how I experimented. Like I went through this process, a little bit under a year ago. I went through that process of just experimenting and see how it worked. And I was also mid track season, by the way. Like I was in the middle of competing and, trying to get my athletic times better, basically, like how fast I could run better. And like I was in the middle of that, and they basically didn't change at all. It all came down to the training, really. But yeah, that's like I said, perform the same if not better. But yeah, that's why I don't carb load before cardio. I would encourage anyone to try it out and encourage a low carb diet just to see how you feel. If you don't like it, you can always go back. But yeah, if you do like what I'm saying and you've made it this far, then you got like a top 1% attention span. You're the GOAT or very attentive. But yeah, made it this far. Make sure to go subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.